Welcome to Psych Up Live with your host, Dr. Suzanne Phillips. If you're experiencing life, and we know you are, you may have a variety of questions about relationships, family issues, personal goals, coping with the unexpected, and much more. Today, you will hear some answers from a psychological perspective, and you may just take away something that fits. Here is Dr. Suzanne Phillips.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Phillips. Thank you for joining me on Psych Up Live. One of the things that makes us uniquely human is our capacity to self-reflect, to consider what we're doing and evaluate how well it is working for us. In the last 10 years, the use of social media has taken off worldwide. Today, we are going to take a look at living in a world that is technically very connected and ask, how often are people on? Why? Does online connectivity differ with age, country, socioeconomic level? Is connectivity working for you? Our guest expert is Dr. Joel Evans. He's a distinguished professor in the Zarb School of Business at Hofstra University and an expert on social media and digital connectivity. He is co-author of Marketing in the 21st Century and Retail Management, a Strategic Approach. Both of these have been translated into many languages and read all around the world. Dr. Evans also writes a marketing and a retail blog. He has been interviewed for newspapers, magazines, social media, and is the recipient of many professional awards. Dr. Evans is a return guest to Psych Up Live. He has an earlier show which is worth checking out on self-branding and is one of the guests that were part of a panel for a wonderful show entitled Surviving Cancer, Personal Glimpses of Resilience. Dr. Evans, it is my special pleasure to welcome you back to Psych Up Live.
Thank you. I am really glad to be here.
So let's start with the question, how would you define this concept of a connected world?
Okay, well, up until recently, a connected world would be you and I talking or interacting on a phone or in person. But today, so we would have had a limited community that we were dealing with, but it was much more personal. But today, when we talk about connectivity, we're talking about the use of digital devices that enable us to connect to the outside world. And they include a whole range of things from smartphones, smart TVs, the things we wear on our wrists to measure our health, GPS systems, computers, tablets, home security systems. All of those things we use to connect, and oftentimes we use to connect for social media purposes.
Now, we hear people talk about being continuously connected. Just how connected are people?
Well, for some people, it actually gets to be mind-boggling because it would encompass the whole part of the day that they're awake, from getting up in the morning and checking their email all the way through and text, and all the way through the evening when they're ready to go to sleep, checking again text, email, etc. Sometimes even falling asleep with their devices on. Some people even intentionally leave them on 24 hours a day. So we as people have kind of gone crazy over the whole idea of being connected. And there is some research that was done not that long ago, particularly regarding the smartphone, that the person who's a smartphone user actually checks their phone 69 times a day. So think about that. So if we're up for 15 hours, we're checking it 4 to 5 times an hour. Every time that light goes off or it buzzes, we're on there. We spend, according to this study, 283 minutes each day on just our smartphone, which is almost 5 hours. So the pervasiveness of us being connected is incredible.
It is incredible. Let me ask, why, from what you're such a researcher, tell us, what are the motivations for this? Why are people on 24/7 checking the first thing in the morning? What are the motivations?
Well, part of it is the interpersonal connection that people text. They use Facebook for that. Self-expression. These days, it seems that people want to talk about every single event in their life, from what they ate for breakfast this morning to showing pictures of their grandchildren, to explore things. So we're interested in learning, finding out information. So the things like going on a trip, I can now find out everything possible about where I want to go. And another big one would be for convenience, that it's easy for me to shop online, comparison shop online, find out that information. It's just really easy to use. But we also do it for a variety of, other reasons. We sometimes are lonely, and this is a way that 24/7 we can get out there and communicate with other people. We might be down and want to be inspired. So there are a lot of sites and a lot of Twitter posts that deal with inspirational quotes, which can make us feel good. We can chat with somebody without actually having to talk to them. We can get friends. We can be getting entertained, get information, give information. This is one of the things interesting, too. We want to get the opinions of others. So we'll go to Amazon and we'll look at the number of stars that are available for shopping. When we're buying an item, but we also want to give our opinion. So we want to feel important by giving our opinion on to others. We may, because of the advances in technology, FaceTime through our iPhone, Skype through our computer, so it gets us the ability to see while we talk to people. We can be anonymous, so we can, kind of hide, so we're not, out front. And boy, can we play games, because people spend an enormous amount of time on games, even people who aren't gamers, with things like Candy Crush, which became such a phenomenon a few years ago. I had all my friends writing me, join me on Candy Crush, join me. No. So there are all kinds of reasons why we do this.
One of the things that we're seeing is you could fill every bit of time. If you're ever in a waiting room anywhere, whether it's at an office, a doctor's office, an airport, everyone is on a phone or a device. Now, I also see with people when they talk about, especially the social media, I wonder what you think about this, is that there's a kind of pressure and contagion. So if I see that somebody has posted about a running race and I was in it, but I didn't post, now that means, should I post? Or if I don't like everyone's pictures from their children's graduation, will they still be my friend? Young people are very pressured by this.
There's no question. There would be what I would call connected people who are passive versus interactive. The passive are the ones that like to go and look at what's being said. So they look for the reviews on Amazon, but they don't post one. They look at the pictures and what's being said on Facebook, but they say very little about themselves. But yes, most of us, if we're on one of these things like Facebook, we would constantly be getting email every time somebody is commenting on something we posted, or putting a new picture on, updating their status, whatever it may be. And it becomes a lot of work if you want to either put on a like or make a comment about all the things that are being done. So I think that it could be a tremendous time drain. And yes, some people could get, annoyed at you, but you can't respond to everything that you have the ability to respond to, or you'd be absolutely doing nothing else.
Now, we have a lot of international listeners, so I wanted to ask you, how does it compare? That is, connectivity, ongoing connectivity, use of social media globally across countries. Who are the most users?
Believe it or not, the United States wouldn't be first. And countries that may surprise people, and it has to do with the fact that this is the way that they can interact with other people, because maybe transportation is tougher, and internet connections are cheaper. But again, according to research, the people who are most likely, or the people are most likely to be online or connected all day would be Brazil, India, South Africa, and Nigeria. And so, for example, in Brazil, 51% of the people who would have a smartphone stay on the whole day. In the United States, that figure is 25%, which is, 1 out of 4, but certainly nowhere near what the other countries that I mentioned are doing.
And you're suggesting that one of the reasons is literally there's less ability to physically go to different places or to communicate in a more open way? What are some of the reasons?
Yes, because they're not as likely to be to congregate in a city or to be in a work environment where they have a lot of people they interact with. They don't socialize the same way because they might be working longer hours in labor blue collar jobs, so that they are tired at night. So I think and it's become very inexpensive, so it's a way to be able to communicate to relatives you could no other way connect to. It's a way to interact with friends, people you may have gone to school with, where we have a lot more tools here. And we see people more often. Whether we talk to them or not is another story, but we do have the ability to see them.
I have had colleagues and students from Pakistan, South Africa, and what you're saying is so interesting is they are in contact with relatives as if they lived in New Jersey, or very, very close. It also, especially those in South Africa, sometimes one gentleman who's a colleague and is at a college there, it's a very remote area. And his ability, he's very, very grateful for the ability to have such connectivity and access to ideas, to theories, and to colleagues. So it's really quite a gift in many ways.
Well, and we have to keep in mind the United States, between urban and urban communities, that's where 88% of the population lives. And that is not true in the countries that we mentioned. As you have just said, they tend to be in more isolated spots, and it's much harder to connect personally in those areas.
Now, if we go back to the States for a minute, how does connectivity, constant online connection, use of social media, how does it differ depending on age?
There's a pretty clear delineation between age, that people who, the older we get, the less likely we are to be connected. That doesn't mean that it isn't growing. It just means that younger people are much more likely, although the statistics don't necessarily follow a straight line. But younger people are much more apt to be connected than are people who are 55 and up.
But you have quite a bit of the, let's say, 26 to 35-year-old range. I know we spoke before about it. Are they your largest group using social media and online connectivity? 26
to 35 are huge users, and the groups right before them and after them would be behind that use, but they would be roughly equal. So it's more like 26 to 44 are really prime users, along with the 18 to 25-year-olds who are users, but not as much as 26 to 35. So part of that may be a result of graduating college and being, wanting to connect with people that you don't get to see as often, being at work so you're not socializing as much. doing connectivity at work. According to still other research, 44% of people are using their smartphone for a personal purpose while at work. So companies who some of which may like to track what we do online when we're on the company computer, they can't possibly do that when we're on our own phone.
It's very interesting. We're going to take a brief break and come back and look at more about connectivity and whether it's working for us. You've been listening to Psych Up Live. We're speaking with Dr. Joel Evans. He's an expert on social media and digital connectivity. He's co-author of Marketing in the 21st Century and Retail Management, a Strategic Approach. Stay with us. We'll be right back.